Oh, before we get any further, who designed the sets on Mortal Kombat?
Oh, Mick Strawn, yes. He said that movie. There's a podcast where he says that he was in charge of the second unit. Paul W.S. Anderson didn't even direct the scenes of there was more fight scenes and stuff that they had to do separately.
Yeah, well, that was after the fact because Good Bad Flicks reviewed Mortal Kombat, and he was saying that was a big thing is they had to do kind of reshoot the big criticism with the movie when they had cut it all together is there isn't enough fighting in your fighting game movie basically, and so the reptile fight scene when they're in Outworld when
which was the reptile, best part of the movie.
It's one of the best fight scenes, and that one was one of the ones that they had to go back and shoot that
was
because
all
they
Mick.
needed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love Mick.
Yeah,
he's a character.
They also said that one of the guys who actually really helped the movie, Christopher Lambert, that he was surprising. He was extremely supportive on the set of that movie because apparently Anderson had no faith because he had the studio breathing down his neck. The studio had no faith in the movie. They thought it was just going to crash and burn, just not going to do anything. And of course, he felt like he was in over his head because he hadn't. Yeah, but Christopher Lambert apparently was extremely supportive. He did have hope in the movie, and he was very reassuring to Paul Anderson, telling him "Oh no, it's gonna go good." But the coolest thing was when they said that because they didn't want to fly Christopher Lambert out to Thailand or whatever where they shot the a lot of the movie, so they wanted to during the parts near the beginning and the end of the movie when Raiden is talking to them, they wanted him to still be in just on a set out in California somewhere, and they would have a double and they would just shoot the back of his head, that kind of thing, to have him talk to them because they were it's going to be too expensive to fly him out to Thailand. And Christopher Lambert was no, I need to be there. It's not going to be convincing. I gotta be with the actor, the other actors, in the same scenes and shit. And he flew out on his own dime. He just went out there, spent his own money for the plane ticket. And apparently his agent was furious over it.
You know what? That was awesome.
So cool though.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was really cool. Apparently he also did a lot of cater. He brought them lunches and stuff too, the other actors. Yeah, it sounded very cool.
You know what? You got to respect that. I mean, seriously. Those are the stories that I love to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It just kind of shows, when you hear about the Mortal Kombat production, just how Paul was already slipping after Event Horizon. That was so good, and then he did that, and you could see he was kind of slipping on shit. And you could tell when there was someone doing second unit, and second unit was kicking ass. And that was Mick.
And then AVP was boring, but you know what? It was better than Requiem. I know that's not saying much.
That's not something you want to hang your hat
on. I'm comparing,
Requiem is, but Requiem has absolutely no heart to it whatsoever. It's what I consider to be a completely soulless movie.
Requiem is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's a total garbage fucking flick.
At least AVP had some fun fight scenes in it that you could actually see, unlike Requiem.
But AVP was Freddy versus Jason in space.
Yeah, but it still
in Alaska or whatever it was.
Still had enough humanity to it to kind of ground it a little bit, though. Even if the characters were all kind of just throwaway characters, but they
rushed production on that too. That's why the Predators look all plasticky at the end.
Well, Requiem, you could barely see anything going on.
Yeah.
Oh, Requiem, it's just icky. It's an icky movie. It's very mean-spirited. It's on one hand, when I first saw the trailer and it's and the kid gets the face hugger on, and I'm like, wow, they're going to kill children in this. This is going to be hardcore. But it's just so mean. It's not.
None of the characters.
The nursery scene.
That was just gross. It wasn't even gross in a way that I find fascinating. I just was
no, that was disgusting. That right there, the nursery scene. It was what made me go, this movie's a piece of fucking shit.
Species 2. That's just. I mean, in my opinion.
You see,
I think Species 2 is just a gross ass fucking movie too.
The thing is that if you're going to do shock moments like that, if it helps advance the story,
so bad compared to the first one.
Oh yeah, Species 1 and 2, it's like night and day.
It really is, yeah.
But you know what?
They made 4 of them.
If you're going to show shocking shit in a movie, if it advances the story,
sure, yeah,
whatever, If it helps develop something or like help push a narrative, whatever. But if it's mindless and fucking stupid, it's like, why else would you have that fucking thing go into a nursery and impregnate like all those,
shove its tongue down their throat, and you
it's not even the wrong spot, so,
and then put the idea in that the thing like ate the baby in the uterus and had like a bunch of things pop out. That was there just to try to make people go, oh shit, and be edgy and hardcore.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, if you look at I Spit on Your Grave, that had some really horrific shit that would quote unquote trigger people. And I'm not making fun of people that do get triggered. It's just I hate the word triggered. Yeah, but I can understand how it could set people off, because it's a very fucking graphic thing what happens in the beginning of the movie. But the whole thing is one, it helps establish the story.
Yeah,
there's a reason behind it, and two, she gets the comeuppance in the end.
Yeah,
there's a new movie like that. I think it's literally called just Revenge, and it was stylistically, it was really well shot and worth watching. Same plot idea, she's left for dead, she comes back to life, gets revenge, but like the camera work of the way they do the movie makes it worth watching. It is so tense, like edge of your seat. It was really, really well done.
I was thinking about not long ago. It doesn't really have much relation to it. I'm just thinking about like when you have a director that knows what they're doing, as an example, where things that just when you really like on paper it shouldn't work, but the director just makes it work. And I was thinking about Darkman, and and like the cartoonish, like the stuff where he's like dangling, like he's from
circus freak, yeah.
Well, there's that. That's but that's him. Like he's angry about that. Like he's
fucking big
turns around for you. Like like no, I love that stuff though. But I'm saying like there's like just straight up cartoon stuff in there, like where he's hanging from the helicopter and he like runs across the back of the 18-wheeler. His feet are going, like really fast and shit. And or like he smashes through the glass and the skyscraper is, excuse me, and just like goes off. But it's like, it's so, because I know what he was going for. He was trying to make his own superhero movie, which he did, like a dark superhero thing. But it's like, oh my God, I love that era of Sam Raimi's work.
Sam's good.
It shouldn't work. Like it should. In the hands of a lesser director, if they tried to emulate that same stuff, it would not work. It wouldn't but Darkman is such a fucking masterpiece. I love that movie. And it's a revenge movie too, because it's not all just action all the time.
I like when the wife sees the damage and then it transitions to her at the funeral. They just use like a blue green screen effect.
Yeah.
Really well done. Yeah.
The way he composites different stuff and the imagery and everything to make everything kind of just flow together is really cool. But like the way he also the way the movie itself is not just a straight up action movie, where like when he kills Paulie by framing him, where he makes the money, he picks up the money, but he doesn't make the drop off, and then he drugged, like he knocked Paulie out, changed his clothes and everything like that, bought the planted the plane tickets there and shit, and then Durant shows up. He's like, I must overslept, Mr. Durant. It's like 2 plane tickets to Sweden or something, like for you and. Yeah, he's like, I don't even know how I got dressed and stuff. He's like starting to cry and shit. He's freaking out because he knows he's in trouble. And he's like, it's okay, Paulie. Have a nice trip. And he just throws him out the fucking window and shit. And then, but the way it like he lands on the roof of the car and the woman screams, but then she turns around and there's Darkman like and Paulie.
Level of slapstick
and the way he does it,
comedy.
It's so perfect because the dude playing Paulie, the way he turns, he goes. Like he just the slightest little smile, like the little grin after he sees him dead right there, and then the chick starts screaming and his skin starts bubbling. Shit, I love that movie.
Sam Raimi style, and he's like a master of doing that shit. Speaking of, because we talked about Resident Evil earlier, who in the fuck is Johannes Roberts? Because that's the guy that's directing the new Resident Evil. The Welcome to Raccoon City movie.
The new crappy one that already looks bad, The one where they...
Yeah, I got in trouble.
Where he was... is it because the...
no, I didn't complain about Leon. We all know about the Leon thing.
And the fact that the director is trying to act
Make
like
his
it's
own thing.
this unavoidable kind of thing where it's like, well, the best actors aren't always the same. Like, but
exactly. Because you know what, the motherfucker's full of shit. Because I mean,
he is full of shit, of course.
He's absolutely full of shit. Because you know
Somebody-
what, that's why you're the director. That's why you're.
That's what
he in an offhanded way like tried to put the other movies down, which they do a pretty good job of doing themselves by
right.
saying, well, those guys like those movies had the characters look the way they were supposed to look, and those movies sucked. And I was like, so what
Yeah,
the
but
fuck
you
are
know-
doing with this one?
But the MCU, a little thing you might have heard of called the MCU, like Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. Guess what? They actually resemble their comic book counterparts.
And they act like their comic book counterparts. And the
Yeah,
costumes
I mean,
look like their comic book
Believe it or
counterparts.
not, they found actors that
I know, it's a
resemble-
fucking miracle.
yeah, and those movies did really well.
Yeah, and
See,
I'm not saying the Resident Evil movies are great. We can talk shit all we want, but it's still, from a financial standpoint, that's the highest like video game series ever made, like money wise.
It
So
is, I know.
That's
I know.
because that's because everyone wanted to go see the first one. And you know what? I like the first one, and Paul
I
Anderson.
did like the first one.
Paul
yeah.
Anderson's a fucking idiot. Because like,
Yeah.
especially after I found out like how everything came to be, because I mean I know the original story was more focused on Rain, because Michelle Rodriguez was fucking white hot at that time as far as Hollywood goes, and like people wanting her to be in movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Mila Jovovich was like pissed off because she even said this herself. It's not like someone was like saying sour grapes. This came from Mila's own horse mouth, where she said, I was dissatisfied with the amount of screen time that I had, so I threatened to quit the movie, and then Paul came up to my hotel room, and that's when we began our relationship.
Oh,
and
wow.
then all of a sudden, the whole series is fucking, I swear to
That's
God.
a love letter to his wife, yeah, the whole thing.
She pretty much admitted that she fucked him, and she suddenly started getting a better part in the movie, and they shoved Michelle Rodriguez aside, and then the rest of the movie.
I mean, I don't think it would have been any better if Michelle Rodriguez had been. It still would have. They still would have been shitty. But because the problem with the Resident Evil movies is the first one did its own thing. They changed like so much because they didn't want people who played the game to know exactly what to expect.
Almost works as a prequel, almost.
It's not the same as the video game movies. But then later on, they decided it's like they almost immediately regretted because it's like they ran out of ideas after the first movie because they're like, all right, we did the first movie and it's like semi-original. Like we took elements from the games, but we basically made like a kind of an original
the Alexi
story or whatever.
And all that shit.
Yeah, and the liquor, which doesn't appear in the first actual game, you know, and stuff.
Ripped off Cube.
Yeah, and that kind of crap. But it's just like almost immediately they just regretted like, oh no, now we need to just copy everything from the games, but now we're going to copy it in the wrong order, and so we're just going to shove characters, you know, we're in whether they belong there or not. We're going to have Leon and Barry like together in one of them. I can't.
And they're mercenaries or some shit like that.
Yeah, and they're mercenaries. They have like Ada's in there for no fucking reason, just simply because they needed a woman named Ada Wong. There was no rhyme or reason to any of it, and then of course it's all just they're just set dressing though because Alice is the real hero, you know.
And you know what? I thought Resident Evil Apocalypse was really good, except for every scene that has fucking Alice. I did
not like Resident Evil.
I hated the cam.
Hear me out.
The blurry, shaky cam they did for every. Where it's
that was bullshit.
Because they couldn't afford zombies, I guess.
I thought the cemetery scene was pretty damn good.
But it made no sense, they came out of the ground.
It makes no sense because it's like
the thing is you had monsters coming out of the dirt for no reason, and that's just to offset the.
And it just happens to like all the hands pop up at the same time, and it's right after they had their little quiet like exposition.
Thriller, you know?
Nemesis had puppy dog eyes.
But now here's the thing, though.
When she runs down the side of the building, it was an intentional Sonic reference. Why? Why?
Because why not?
That's what I heard. I'll double check my source, but
that makes my thing because when I came out of the theater from Extinction, I was like, oh well, it was kind of cool, I guess, that it turned into another Capcom game at
Mad
the
Max.
end. When it turns into Street Fighter, where the bomb's going to go off, but then the evil German guy's like, no, you must fight, and they're like round one. He doesn't actually say that, but I mean, she might as like they straight up just do a fight scene between like. He just pits them together.
I liked the fourth one because I saw it in theaters in 3D, and the 3D was so gimmicky fun. I was like,
wasn't it the same? Wasn't it the same? I know one of the Resident Evil movies used the same technology that Avatar used.
It was probably the fourth one.
They made a big stink about it in the marketing, where they're like, it's the same. Same 3D
as an Avatar.
And then I watched the fifth one on Netflix. Avatar, right? And then the fifth one I watched on Netflix, also one where like she has to go in different simulations the entire movie. It was literally a video game movie.
It was like underwater, right? Wasn't it like it was like these domes under the ocean?
Test things.
Yeah, they were test biomes or whatever. They were like biomes. There was one of Tokyo, and there was one
And then
they had cloned like all the different characters, so the Michelle Rodriguez showed back up because she's like a soccer mom or some shit like that.
But now here's the thing, though. Is Apocalypse was good with every scene that did not have fucking Alice in it.
I don't know, dude, because the comedy relief black guy, like he got on my goddamn
GTA motherfucker.
Yeah,
but no, here's
like my shit's all custom, and he's got those gold-plated Desert Eagles.
Now here's the positives that I will list about Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
The fight scenes that they had, not the fucking hand-to-hand fighting, but I'm talking about like RPD and the Umbrella Corps guys.
That part, that was just like the one part practically. Yeah,
but
that part was cool.
They practically recreated the intro from Resident Evil 3. There was that,
but then
and Jill Valentine. Jill Valentine was great. Yeah. She looked like Jill Valentine.
She did look like Jill.
Like her.
But
the guy that played
I would rather watch Apocalypse than the last one they did, the final chapter.
Oh.
Okay. Well, again, so yeah, Paul W. Anderson came back to direct that, but the action scenes were like, that shaky, blurry shit. You can't see what's going on.
Yeah,
right.
They retconned so much stuff. It made no. I was like,
when Phalis, Phelan Portius or whatever.
Alice is a clone. She's actually an old granny that works at Umbrella or something.
No, it was like one of the things that Phalis pointed out in Apocalypse that I was like, I never thought about that, because he always pointed out the fact that every other character, like no character can do anything except for Alice. Like everybody else is useless. And the part where the little girl, I think, is about to get, like, Jill rescues a little girl in the basement of the school, from like zombies and shit, right? Yeah. And she goes there's like gasoline, and she throws the lighter, but it goes out.
It was a match, I think.
I'm pretty sure it was a lighter. I think it was a standard like flip top kind of.
No, it was a book of matches.
Yeah.
Was it okay? But
and then Alice is
waiting.
Yeah,
it goes out in the air because Jill can't even. If you're not Alice, you can't even light something on fire without it. You can't even use a match correctly. You need Alice to come behind you and do everything, because Alice is the best at everything. And he picked. I was like, shit. He's
That's
right.
What I'm
actually,
saying. The movie was okay for every scene that didn't have fucking Alice in it.
Yeah, Alice is smoking a cigarette for some reason, and then flicks it, and then grabs a flame retardant blanket to wrap around the little girl.
Because God forbid that Jill do anything good.
Yeah, God forbid anyone do anything. We got to have her fly in on a motorcycle from 4 different angles. And then she's got to kick.
She crashes through the stained glass window in the cathedral in the church or whatever, because it looks cool.
That shitty, stupid, like revolve around the bullet thing and show the Umbrella logo on the bullet thing. I guess Umbrella makes weapons now. That was fucking so stupid. So yeah, you know what? As long as you cut Alice out of every fucking.
So why are you putting Max Payne in Resident Evil? It's like,
but it was just, my God. Like if you cut Alice out of every fucking frame in that movie, it would actually be kind of decent. It was just, you have to take her out of it.
You have to, like, if there was a way to like get the original footage of before all the blurry, like,
before
shaky blurry shit.
I think they were too cheap to put zombie makeup on people, and that's why they did that.
Maybe
they were definitely too cheap, because
the guy. Well, I mean, the guy who directed Apocalypse, because that wasn't directed by Anderson. Apocalypse. It was directed by a dude who was like, it was his directorial debut. I think he maybe was a cameraman or a camera, like on the first one. It's one of those kind of deals. And because I instantly could tell when I watched that movie, I was like, I made some joke about to somebody. I was like, well, it sure was nice of Paul Anderson to allow his, like, you know,
property.
I was going to say allow his retarded nephew to direct the. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, like, really, but I was like, it felt like it was directed by a little kid by comparison. Because say whatever you want about Paul W.S. Anderson, but at least he knows how to, like,
he's got an eye
point
for
the camera and stuff, and like, yeah, because he used to do music videos. He did music videos before, just like David Fincher. Yeah, a lot of directors used to get their start doing that kind of stuff, and they still know scene composition. They still know, like, how to hold the damn camera still and, like, show shit, you know, that when you need to show stuff.
So,
but this guy,
I was going to go off topic.
Did you ever read the Romero script?
Mm-mm.
Nope. But I was going to go off topic a little bit and say, you mentioned David Fincher, who did Alien 3. James Cameron was like, oh, they killed off Hicks and Newt. But then he's like, he approves Dark Fate for blowing John Connor away.
Yeah, but he also said that that director was not easy to work with compared to, like, he worked with him for Dark Fate, and he said in hindsight, or he said after the fact, I guess, because after the movie was confirmed dud, like bomb, he said the guy would not listen to him, he literally tried to be like, dude, I created this franchise. I kind of know what I'm talking about here. You know, like, you need to listen. He said the guy was not. He compared it because he said, as a comparison, when he worked with Robert Rodriguez for Alita: Battle Angel, he said it was night and day. He said Rodriguez straight up said to him, he's like, I want to make your movie. Like, I want to help you make this movie. Like, you know, Rodriguez was extremely, to the point where Cameron said he had to tell Rodriguez, like, no, it's your movie. Like, you need to make this movie yours. But, you know, like, Rodriguez was all too willing to listen to anything that he had to say, like any advice he had to give. Whereas the dude who did Dark Fate just
didn't listen at all.
Yeah, it was like
well, the dude who did Dark Fate did the first Deadpool movie, and I believe Ryan Reynolds had problems with him. That's why he let him go for the sequel.
Yep. That's right. That's what I heard too. But
the guy's just a stubborn asshole.
It seems like it, yeah.
But I mean, you know what the thing is, that if James Cameron comes up to you and says, okay, so let's try this. That's like Mick Jagger coming up to you and you're a shitty indie band. And he's like, oi, listen to me. I'm going to make you a rock star. Right. Would you look at him and be like, Mr. Jagger, fuck yourself?
Yeah.
I'd listen to every goddamn thing that you said. I'd be Rodriguez. I'd listen. The Romero script. See, you know something's wrong when George Romero, who fucking made the modern zombie genre,
and directed a Japanese commercial for Resident Evil 2.
Oh my god! If you haven't seen the Japanese commercial for Resident Evil 2, you have to watch it. Brad Renfro plays Leon, and he actually looks the part, and it looks really kick-ass. Like, the imagery is really, really good. They brought Romero on to do Resident Evil, and he wrote a script for it.
I did hear that.
They shit-canned him. They shit-canned him and went with Anderson. All right, now this is the basics of the script, and I still say it's worth reading. Like, the notable things that I can remember about this. It had Tyrant, it had the Mansion, it had Neptune, it had Plant 42, it had Yawn, it had Stars Alpha Team, it had Stars Bravo Team.
Right.
The only real changes from the source material that they made was that Barry was black, which I really don't give a shit about.
That's fine. Really, I mean, that's what I. Well, that's like Nick Fury. When I brought up the MCU, you know, you got to acknowledge that it's not like they haven't.
Kingpin in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
But I never. I mean, as far as the Nick Fury thing, because you know, like, Nick Fury is supposed to be like a nom vet, and Samuel L. Jackson is age appropriate for that, and like I saw no problem with that. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's the thing that, like, with this modern one that people are pissing and moaning about. But, you know, we'll get to that in a second. Barry was black in the Romero script, and Chris Redfield was kind of like a Native American. But when you think about it, Redfield, it kind of
I'd be all right with it. I mean, that wouldn't bother me too much. I don't think.
But he wasn't really a member of Stars. Like, he was Jill's boyfriend, and he winds up going to the mansion after some therapist dog. Well, hold on. Jill's a part of Stars. They go to the mansion that contain all the shit. It's got all that stuff going on in it. Chris Redfield is her boyfriend, and he goes down there because, like, he's living on the reservation, and some Cerebus dogs kill his livestock. He winds up going down there. They all get intermingled. It was written pretty well. Like, I remember there was like a scene where you had like Richard and Kenneth, where Richard gets eaten by Yawn, and then they have to cut him out of Yawn after they kill him, and he's like fucking like burning from the acid, like the Yawn stomach acid.
Oh, it's like that one. What's that? What's that? It's
like the Blob.
No, I was gonna say there's that. What's that one where they're on the ship? The mercs are on the ship or whatever, and there's that sea monster thing. Is it Deep Rising where the one guy did get like partially digested, and at one point they're fighting the thing, and he falls out of it because it and
like, I think so. It ends on a jet ski thing when they're trying to escape the boat.
Yeah, and it's because it's CGI. It's not very good looking CGI today.
Steven Summers, who did The Mummy, did that movie. Yeah,
but yeah, we're like Richard's all fucked up. He's like, please kill me, type of thing. Right. And like Kenneth, like Yawn was living because it was a snake in Plant 42 because it was a tree. So I mean, like, there was some stuff that was like, there was some liberties taken with it, but the whole thing that I think it wound up coming down to is like the studio basically said, all right, look, you can have Yawn or you can have Plant 42, but you can't have both.
Oh, okay.
But they still had the thing where Wesker was a piece of shit traitor and all that other stuff. But no, let's go with Paul Anderson's fucking shit show. But the thing is like, I don't mind Barry being black, just the same reason like I don't mind Leon being whoever the hell that guy is. I've never heard of him. But the thing is like people are using that as a deflection to try to get off the main point, because it's like when I saw the photo for the new Resident Evil, like I saw the Stars guys, I looked at that fucking thing, and honestly, if I didn't know that was a Resident Evil movie, I wouldn't know that it was a Resident Evil movie.
One of the things that bothered me that people weren't even picking out is like they all zeroed in on Leon. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. But also, I don't know. There was like one guy. There's that one shot where you see Chris and you see there's like three.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but and I saw some people that were actually being like, okay, the dude playing Chris, like he looks.
Yeah, Robbie ML.
Fairly close. Like he looks the part, right? But I don't know. There was the one guy in the background that's holding a gun, and it just. He's like kind of slouching. He's kind of like this. Yeah. He's holding it really weird. His posture is completely off. He doesn't look like an actual like trained operative holding his weapon. He looks like a cosplay. It doesn't even look. They're cosplay people that they're cosplayers that look more convincing because they're used to doing this kind of shit and posing for photos. This dude looked like he had no idea, like
what the fuck he was doing.
He might as well have the gun flipped around and like had the barrel like shoved up his nose.
like those fucking buzzards in the Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
But the thing is like that's the one that I was bitching about. But everyone's like, oh, well, you don't like Leon because of this. I'm like, no, I don't give a fuck about that. The only problem I have with Leon is that he's supposed to be a rookie and he's young and he's got facial hair going on. Shave that fucking shit off.
I was really. That's another reason why I was so happy to have the Resident Evil 2 remake, is because I actually get, for all the praise that RE4 receives, and when it came out, it was really good for the time. But I honestly, I don't. Yeah, I don't like. To me, it's not even. People say that Resident Evil 5 is the one where the series started to jump the shark, but I think it was 4 because that's when Leon. He's like James Bond. He's making like snappy like quips and one-liners, and he's jokey throughout the whole thing. He's flirting with Hunnigan like Bond would flirt with Moneypenny. He's like, and also he's like a ninja. Like he's doing crazy, like almost near superhuman shit, like flipping over laser fields and all this different crap. And it's like.
Capcom said the movies did inspire the later sequels. That's why Resident Evil 6 is so over-the-top action.
Well, then what? Paul Anderson, double fuck you for fucking up the games, though.
Yeah. Well, because of course his excuse was, well, I'm a fan of the games I play. Well, I know he does play games. I know he does because he played Mortal Kombat. He knew what that was at the time.
And then he's like, I can remake Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it is. It's scene like not scene for scene per se, but in terms of
Ford killed survival horror for me. I just hated that. And I know I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. You know that publicity still, that's the one that I was focused on and that I was bitching about. And it's ironic because people are bitching about Leon because it's like, I'm not even going to get into it because you know fucking
well, it's race swap shit. Yeah,
you know how people fucking jump on shit and how people
they just dogpile on it. Yeah, one person says something and then everybody just.
But even if I was to say that, you know, Kennedy's a pretty fucking Irish name. You know, so he should be a ginger. Someone's going to jump on that. But it's just people are going to fucking take one thing and try to twist it around to deflect the narrative. But it's ironic because I focused on the publicity shot because it's absolutely a publicity shot. That's not a still that they took from the fucking movie. But, I mean, for one, Robbie Amell actually does look like Chris. Props. I bitched because Jill doesn't have the shoulder pad. She doesn't have the beret. Wesker doesn't have the sunglasses. I didn't even know that there was a fucking guy behind him. Like, I had no idea. Now, the other thing that I said, too, is where's the colored vests? Like the Stars vests. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing that I was focusing about is that visually you need to have a distinguishing characteristic, something that will draw.
Okay, I pulled up the actor. I just wanted to see like some headshots of
Robbie Amell.
Yeah, he looks. Yeah,
he looks like Chris Redfield.
He does actually.
He looks like he's in good shape too.
That's a good casting pick. That's a good
Redfield right there.
That is.
But the thing is, it's like you need to have a distinguishing characteristic to help identify something.
Dallas, you might need to toggle your cam on off real quick.
Say what?
Oh, no, you're fine now.
He's back on.
For a second, you were like,
yeah. No. It's because the focus probably shifted. But anyways, the whole thing is like you would know who the fuck someone is. Like that guy behind them, I have people saying that's Barry. I have people saying that's Brad. I have people saying that's Richard because of the shotgun. There's even some people saying that that's Chief Irons. Now, here's the thing: is that if you follow the idea,
it's Forrest.
It's awful.
It's.
Now, if they followed the whole theory of having a distinguishing characteristic, say if he had a yellow vest on, one, I would notice the guy, and two, I would be able to say, okay, that's Brad. But then I would also ask, why isn't he in the fucking helicopter?
Right.
You know what I mean? But ironically, the only way that you would know that this is Resident Evil just by looking at it is by having the stars patch on Chris's shirt. You know, but Jill without the beret, you don't know that that's Jill. Wesker without the sunglasses, it doesn't even look like Wesker. And then, of course, but then you have dickheads that are like, oh, why would you wear sunglasses at night inside of a mansion? It's because it's called a fucking distinguishing characteristic. Wesker had his sunglasses. Jill had her beret. You know, Brad had the yellow vest. Those are those little things that draw your attention to help you identify a character.
Right. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't necessarily have to be realistic.
But
it's a movie based on a video game.
But that's what we were talking about earlier with, they don't have USB drives in 1998, which we've already proven that they do. But the thing is you motherfucker, you're asking for realism, like not wearing your sunglasses inside of a mansion, but you're going to not have a problem with the absurd notion that there's a virus that mutates people into zombies. I have to let the dog out because he's crying. If I don't get up and let him out right now, he's going to immediately look at something and go, okay, I'll just piss on this. How do you like that?
Of course, as you do.
I want to wrap this up. I love you guys, but we'll be going on for 3 hours.
I was going to say the same thing, dude, because it is 4:14 in the AM. Extreme. Let me see your pretty Ghostbusters T-shirt there. It looks like it's a negative. What?
It's like a pink and
yeah. Let me see my pretty Destiny logo on my shoulder.
I could notice your. Now people just don't know how to phone movies. Take things too seriously. It's really weird.
I understand it at the. I mean, I understand, but I mean, I feel like it's It's disproportional in a lot of ways because when it's something like Resident Evil, when it's a video game, it's a video game and it's supposed to be cheesy. But then when people are making excuses, like when I'm bitching about like something in Prometheus, and people are making excuses like you're not supposed to think about it, and I'm like, go fuck yourself. Because like You absolutely
Alien. Fuck yourself. I've been thinking about how that egg got in the Sulaco in Alien 3 for the past 20-something years. You know, like where'd it come from?
Actually, I heard a theory about that. I heard a theory that the egg in the Sulaco, that Bishop actually did it. That's one of the fan theories, is that Bishop, because he not so much maybe that he wanted to directly like impregnate Ripley or whatever, but he was playing around with the face hugger and shit when he was cutting it. You know, one of the theories that the fans have come up with though is that Bishop is responsible for that having happened, which I could see. If I'm gonna justify Alien 3's existence, I'm okay with like giving it that, you know, like, okay, sure. If I'm going to mentally justify it, if I'm going to use because Alien 3, it's sure as shit not the worst movie in the series at this point, but good God almighty. But I mean, like, when people, when, you know, you turn your brain off for certain things, or you at least like, you know, take it down a notch or whatever. Like, you don't have to overthink like what we're talking about here with something a video game movie that was, you know, kind of cheesy in the first place and had like, you know, some goofy shit already. But then like when people take that same logic and apply it to something that it's like, no, you really do need to be holding this one to a higher standard. You can't just because you can say it about this like cheesy, silly kind of movie doesn't mean, you know, you should apply that to every movie. That's
Resident Evil should be. There's 8 official games and like a bunch of spin-offs.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Aliens franchise though, as a comparison. Something that is very serious, that is very dark, and is like the first 2 movies did such an excellent job like crafting that universe, and everything made sense. Everything was, you know, they were tightly written. They were, you know, the characters were.
Everything imitates Aliens. Doom was going to be an Aliens video game, and they changed things around. Like,
but then the Aliens, you know, as we talked about before, Aliens borrowed from Starship Troopers from that novel. So Aliens isn't original either. Like, it's, you know, that's everything borrows from everything's derivative of something. You know, That's that in and of itself.
I don't know. Should we give Fox credit for not doing an Aliens Part 2 yet?
Talking about
they could have just did another movie where there's more aliens. Well, maybe. I mean, in general, they could have did a movie where there was more Marines, more aliens. Same thing again, like Jurassic
Joy of Animals,
World to Jurassic Park, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but real quick, you couldn't tell who the fuck anybody was in the first still, but then when you saw Leon and Claire, which everyone's bitching about Leon, I at least knew that I could look at him and go, that's Leon, because he's got.
He's wearing costume-wise, he's spot on. Like, costume-wise, he looks.
There needs to be a little bit more detail in the costume, because I've seen cosplayers put better shit together.
Yeah, like he's got. Didn't his costume have body armor built into it? Like the original version of it didn't have like
kind of like a built-in body armor suit.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna have a trailer drop in October because I believe they're going for a November release date. So
yeah, how fucking stupid are you to hype up a movie like that? You know what?
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
When you wait that long to drop a movie, it means that you're fucking ashamed of something.
I didn't even know they were making a movie.
Be on trailer 2 right now. We should have by this point gotten. We should have had a teaser trailer way back in probably January or something.
So when Jersey Guy posted on his Twitter, I confused it with the Netflix live action TV series they're also doing, which Wesker's going to be played by a black actor.
Which I don't give a shit about because he's a fucking awesome actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Lance Reddick. I mean, he's awesome. He's in Destiny.
So you've heard of the live action series they're doing?
Yeah, but I was just talking about that. I was talking about that with a friend of mine the other day, and I said, okay. I was like, Lance Reddick is Wesker, that's fine, whatever. But I was like, when they showed that like cast shot of them all like kind of sitting there, you know, in the thing, and I said, if you had shown that to me, if you showed that to me and I didn't know what it was, and you're like, what do you think this show's going to be? I was like, oh, it's probably like it's going to be some goofy, like some police procedural kind of comedy drama, like Bones or something like that.
I don't think the TV. I don't think the TV series is going to last because the movie coming out so close to it. I don't. It's like the Sarah Connor Chronicles and Terminator Salvation.
Hey, like, you think of a single person.
Yeah, it was great, but everybody forgot about it when saw Salvation, and the ratings tanked and it got canceled.
But can you think
like, you can't have? I don't think you can have universe crossover TV like that.
Since you know that's Lance Reddick, or since you know that the character he's playing, he's playing Wesker.
He was amazing in Fringe.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, but who the hell is literally anyone else sitting? Because I mean, it's all women, right? Like every one of them is a.
What is the show? Is it a Resident Evil show, or is it going to be about the Umbrella Corporation? Like I don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah. I don't know either. I would think it would have to be something with Umbrella or whatever, that because none of those ladies that are in the shot with Lance Reddick look like anyone I can remember from the series, from the games at all. None of them.
Characteristics.
No, they look.
I think they're going to start filming it in a few months or something in Canada. But
Lance Reddick will be able to collect a paycheck, so that's cool.
Lance Reddick will be able to at least be a shining part of that fucking series because the thing is that's all I'm going to stick to is that if you're not releasing red band trailers of this, because Resident Evil is a pretty huge thing.
I would love for the movie to be good. I would.
It might be.
It might be like passable.
So right now, what bar are we setting this better than the other movies?
Here's the other thing too is that let's say the movie's passable because they're going to compare it to the Paul Anderson movies. Is that really something that you want?
No, it's not. No, I'm not saying it. Like I'm absolutely saying.
It's like
I'm saying in this era where people will give, in this era of kind of like 7 out of 10 like mediocre kind of movies where, you know, people will go on, fucking idiots will go on Rotten Tomatoes and they'll give it like a positive score simply because it wasn't the worst fucking shit they've ever seen. Literally, that is their logic, that they, you know, what a lot of people, it kept them from drooling all over themselves for, you know, 90 minutes or something, basically. Therefore, it's okay.
That's what I hate about the thumbs up, thumbs down system that YouTube has. I miss the old stars system that they used to have.
Netflix said the same thing, yeah.
EA, like, 9 out of 10. It's okay. You know, like that kind of.
But that's what I miss, though. It's just like there's you get no positive. And when I say positive, I mean like good. I don't mean like, hey, you're doing a great job. When I say positive, I mean like constructive feedback. You get no constructive feedback whatsoever. It's like, hey, if you're going to downvote a video, that could be like, you slightly didn't like it, but no one fucking knows. And it's the same thing with any of those sites. It's like I feel personally that if you're going to leave a negative comment, you have to like fill in a fucking thing saying why you felt it was negative. Like,
but here's
you know what I mean? So it's just like you need to.
Well, that's like on Metacritic. You have like people have pointed out on Metacritic when they review bomb, because review bombing doesn't just work for the negative; it also works for the positive. Yeah, because you'll see, you go on Metacritic and you look at anything. You look at video games, you look at whatever. There's always like there are a ton of people that give it like a 10. And there are a bunch of people that give it a 1. And basically, if they give it a 10 or they give it a 1, you can ignore those reviews completely because chances are there's bullshitting. They're just trying to pad the score one way or the other. It's the numbers in between where someone actually like probably puts some kind of thought into it, especially if they, you know, typed out a paragraph or two, you know, explain shit about why they didn't like it or did like it.
It's needed. It's absolutely necessary. This Resident Evil thing, though, the other thing that I've heard about it also, this Welcome the Raccoon Shitty. Why in the fuck are we combining?
Watch it's PG-13.
Why are we combining 2 games into one movie?
That's what I was saying that, or I was just thinking to myself, like, why do we, when you were mentioning Jill and the beret and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, and we got Claire in there, but the whole point, it doesn't make any sense because Claire's whole reason for being in there is she's looking for her brother.
Chris.
She's looking for Chris. So why are they both in the same fucking movie together? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, but you know what? Here's the other thing, and this is a really minor detail, but it's something that really stuck out to me because I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. You had the mansion, which took place in Resident Evil 1. You had Leon and Claire in Resident Evil 2. So we've already got the melding of that shit going on. But did you notice that obviously 1 takes place in 1, and when they remade Resident Evil 1, they still pretty much had their same clothing getup going on. Now, when they remade Resident Evil 2, did you notice that Leon and Claire have significantly different outfits?
Not initially. I'd have to go back.
All right, we'll check this out. Leon's original outfit was blue. It had the built-in armor. Claire had the pink shorts with the pink vest and the black shirt underneath. And when they remade 2, Leon looked more like a SWAT cop. He had the black jumpsuit. He had the fucking bulletproof vest on.
Okay.
Claire had the jacket. She had the pants. But what I'm getting at...
I do remember Claire looked quite a bit different, yeah.
But what I'm getting at is why the fuck do you have Resident Evil 1 with characters that don't at all resemble what they look like in the remake or in the original? But let's just go out on a limb and assume that it's the original, or it could be the remake, but they had the same aesthetic look. But then you've got Resident Evil 2, and they look like the characters in the remakes and not the original. It's all over the place.
Well, it's the same reason why when we talked about when Paul W.S. Anderson was doing his sequels, and he just jumbled up the whole timeline and just threw characters from different.
Yeah,
but he also did the Ouroboros zombies in one of them where there's no rhyme or reason. Like there's no explanation as to why they function that way. They're just suddenly there, and the reason is because Resident Evil 5 was out at the time, and it was,
and now all of a sudden we've gone from zombies to zombies that head split open and the tentacles come out like the Thing. There's no explanation for that.
There's no explanation other than the fact that RE5 was out and it was popular.
I mean, the sad thing is that someone really went through some big-time mental fucking gymnastics to try to connect the liquors. They tried to connect the liquors by saying
it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme of the in front of the whiteboard or whatever. This is
Charlie. But someone was like, a liquor is really just an evolved form of a zombie.
Yeah, and they.
But you know what?
Just even the excuse in the first one when the Red Queen is like, now that it's fed on fresh DNA, it will mutate. Fresh DNA. I don't know. It's just
the Red Queen changes from movie to movie. By the last one, she's like a good character. So
you're all going to die down.
But let's wrap this up.
Oh my God!
Bitch wouldn't open the door, so I fried her ass.
That was so bad. And you know what? The thing that sucked about that is like the first 10 minutes of that movie looked awesome because you saw the mansion, and then we're going underground.
Yeah.
But then you've got the Alexei train from the later Resident Evil games. I want to say that's probably part 2 or some shit like that. But I think Alexei was a reference to Code Veronica. It's just they fucking fucked with this timeline so goddamn much.
They really did.
And now they have
just imagine being a writer and they just give you this material. Make this into a movie series.
I know, but like I said, Paul W.S. Anderson, does play the games. He knows this. He knows the material. He does. He just, like I said, he didn't want to at a certain point because he made the first one, and there seemed to be some degree of creativity that went into it because they decided, we're going to try to tell our own story, like not completely just ape off the games.
Which is okay.
Exactly, which is fine. Yeah, it turned out it was acceptable. It was good. It did its own thing. But then he didn't want to do the second one, so he turned it over to some other idiot. And then I guess immediately that guy was dry for ideas, and he's like, let's just make a hodgepodge of shit from RE, RE2 and 3, exactly.
Resident Evil 3 was Mad Max, like there was no water and stuff.
And then Paul W.S. Anderson came back, because the explanation was the virus dried up lakes and okay, cool. I guess because if you just say that in a sentence. If you just say that a virus dries up, it's like, oh, well, of course.
But it was retcon anyway, so whatever.
But I mean, like, if that was the case, and wouldn't the virus turn like trees into like living limbs and shit like that? And but let's put like 4 billion crows in the fucking sky too. But you know what? Another bright part, like Jill was. I thought Jill was phenomenal in Apocalypse.
Right.
I also liked the guy that played. I can't remember his name in the movie, but he was in fucking The Mummy. He was in Deuce Bigalow. The guy that played Antoine. He wound up playing Carlos.
Yeah.
Carlos was good. Like that. Dead Fear, I believe his name is. And I know I fucked it up. And chances are he's going to probably call my cell phone and be like, you fucked up my name. I will find you and I will kill you. But the whole thing is he was really, really good in that. He was a bright spot in Apocalypse as well. That Nemesis, though.
That's right. I do remember. I was seeing. Yeah, I did not like Nemesis. I didn't like if cinematography in a movie is like really, really bad. Like if they really royally fuck it up,
it's a huge turnoff.
I can't enjoy the movie if they cannot get like basic cinematography right. Down. If they can't,
Wait,
you guys are fucking professionals.
He did camera work on The Bourne Identity. Is that why that movie had shaky blurry cam?
The Bourne Identity was one of the movies that really popularized it for a while. The whole hyperkinetic shaky cam
kind of like
shit.
when they did
the Apocalypse did that. So
Batman Begins
on that movie.
Yeah, I was going to say the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, where all you literally see is like a fist and a bunch of smoke, and it's like the fuck.
Yeah. That's what I like. If you with the trailer for the Batman, that part where the those gang members don't know who he is and shit, and they who the hell are you? And the dude brushes him, and the camera just stays still the entire time. You just see him just beat the shit out of the guy, and like when he knocks him down, he's still like punching him while he's on the ground. And he's
that was so fucking awesome.
Yeah, but I was like, I was so happy when I saw that because I was like, oh my god, they're gonna hold the camera still and just let us see him do this shit. Yes, this is what I want to see.
It's about goddamn time. But I mean, it's like, you know what? The sad thing is, it's like when it comes to the Batman movies, I'm excited just on the premise that we're finally going to get a good Batman movie for the first time since 1982.
He's going to be finally a detective.
I'm hoping it's going to be good.
It's going to be 7 Batman style.
I've seen people talk trash about Robert Pattinson, but I honestly think he's like a really damn decent actor. And I do think that he can look the part. I think that when they announced him, I was not, I saw a lot of naysayers. I saw a lot of people that thought it was going to be fucking stupid and making the Twilight joke. So we're going to have a sparkly Batman. But I mean, you can, I go on and on about how I think The Lighthouse is just a fucking awesome ass movie with him and Willem Dafoe. Like I love that fucking crazy ass movie. That
I haven't seen it yet.
Crazy fucking like just insane movie. Yeah, I love it, and he is awesome in it, and so is Willem Dafoe, of course. But I think he could be good as Batman.
I think he could be good, but you know what? I have to get the joke out of my system. Instead of throwing a smoke bomb, fucking Batman will throw a glitter bomb. But no, seriously, I Batman 89 is my favorite fucking Batman. Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman.
I just saw it again not too long ago, like on one of the HBO channels.
The funny thing that when it comes down to the Batman movies is you kind of have to break it off into 2 characters that they're playing. Like Michael Keaton was a good Bruce Wayne and he was a great Batman.
Yeah.
And then like you move over to Val Kilmer where he was an okay Bruce Wayne, but he was a really shitty Batman. And then it was the other way around with George Clooney. Where Clooney was a good Batman, but he was a shitty Bruce Wayne.
Hello, Freeze.
Then you had I
think Clooney was a good Bruce Wayne, but a bad Batman.
But you see, that's what I mean. You got to break it down into different characters. Maybe I had it reversed. Maybe Clooney was a bad Batman, but a good Bruce Wayne. You know, it's fucking weird. Christian Bale, everybody gushed over his performance.
He's barely Bruce Wayne at all in that, honestly, when you get right down to those movies.
He was more Patrick Bateman than he was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And then when he became fucking Batman, just, where were the other drugs going?
But you don't even see, like, other than a couple times.
I'm John Connor.
There's that part in Batman Begins where Alfred is telling him, maybe you should, like, pretend to have a social life or something like that to like keep up appearances and shit. But other than that, in the later movies, it's like he's never really acting as Bruce Wayne. It's like in Batman the Animated Series, you know, you would actually see Bruce having a social life. You would see him meet with other socialites and go to like go to charity events and, you know, be rubbing elbows with the mayor and his you would see him doing shit as Bruce Wayne, not just to keep up appearances, but you would just see like he does at least put on the act that he has this normal kind of life and stuff. And that's a cartoon. That's like 22-minute episodes, and they could still do that shit. But Nolan, it's like after the first movie, after that one little exchange, and of course when he hosts the party, when you know, the real Ra's al Ghul reveals himself. After that, it's like no Bruce Wayne. We're not going to worry about any of that shit. He's just Batman right now. He's just fighting crime all the time, and
that's all he did.
Yeah, they show him in that one part. I think there's a one little kind of joke, I guess you'd say, or it's meant to be, in The Dark Knight where he's asleep in the boardroom or whatever because he's been up all night like fighting crime and shit, and people are like, well, what's up with him? Like, what's his problem? You know, kind of thing, because he's just passed out like at the desk or whatever. It's like, but that's not. I mean, yeah, a normal person would have to deal with that kind of shit, but
pretty much. But I mean, like that was at least their like really good attempt to try to tell a story and develop a character.
Right.
Was by showing that, hey, him being out all night doing this shit is taking a toll on him physically, you know, in his day-to-day job, which makes absolutely perfect sense.
Did you ever see? Go on.
Dark Knight for me, I wasn't that big of a fan of it, and like. I know Heath Ledger was a really talented actor, and I'm not taking this away from him, but his
some things
Joker.
Like the Joker in that movie, I will say I did like him a decent amount, because I did find when he was that like that awkward kind of funny, like the jokes, like he did kind of make me laugh in places where I was like, okay, because I mean, as the Joker, you gotta like. Besides the fact that he's like this unpredictable fucking murderous psychopath and shit, he still can be funny, because like Mark Hamill's Joker again in the animated series could be like really funny. Like there were genuinely like so many laugh out loud moments I can think of with that character where I legit thought he was hilarious, you know. And Ledger did this more kind of awkward kind of comedy with his stuff, like when he I don't know, like there's that part where when he shows up and starts making his demands and shit, and the mobsters is like, or like, who the hell do you think you are, and all this kind of crap, and the dude tries to like grab him, you know, he's like going to toss him out, and he's like, what is he, when he opens up his jacket and he's got the grenades, it's like, no need to blow things out of proportion, you know, like, and he very awkwardly like kind of sees himself out of the room and shit, and like kind of kicks the door open. I think that's kind of funny, because it's just the way
works in a dark sense.
But like I know what you're saying though, because like he's compared to Nicholson, who's more of a like classical. Oh, he was Joker in a lot of ways. Yeah,
like even, everything that he did,
or even Cesar Romero. Even Cesar Romero from
was good. Yeah, we will tango. Yeah, like that was cool. But like Nicholson just nailed it to me. And you know what? A lot of people are going to say that it's nostalgia glasses, but I mean, really,
no, it's still really good. I watched it not long ago. Like I said,
when they do the news report, and all of a sudden you see the big fist go right through the screen like that.
Yeah,
it's the extendo glove.
Yeah,
and he's like, what kind of a world do we live in where someone who dresses up as a bat and they call me a freak? This town needs an enema.
The hand cannon when he shoots down the Batwing, when he's like, that made me laugh as a kid when I saw that, because there was like shit out there.
Batman. I loved Tim Burton's Batman. It was
right. When he pulled out
that fine
huge fucking hand cannon out of his pants, I laughed as a kid. I thought that was so crazy.
I always laughed my ass off at the scene. Those are my balloons. And then he's like, he stole my balloons. Why didn't someone tell me he had one of those things? Bob? Gun.
I love that. Yeah, he just shoots. Bam. Just
Poor Bob.
Did you ever see Gotham Knight? It's a the anthology, the animated anthology. It was released right around the same time that The Dark Knight came out. It was a straight to DVD thing. It was by the same, so it's by a bunch of anime studios, the same ones that did like the Animatrix, but it's like, I think it's like 5 episodes. It's an anthology, so it's like 4 or 5 short films all about Batman, and it's loosely tied to the Nolanverse. Like it's if you watch them all, it's very the insinuation is that it's like a continuation of the Nolanverse kind of stuff, because he's talking to Lucius Fox in one. There's like they each have like a theme to them, but Studio Madhouse, who did like Ninja Scroll and Red Line and
Akira?
No, not. I don't think Madhouse did Akira. They've done a lot of really good shit though. But
it might have been Demon City.
Yes, maybe. They've been around for a long time, but they've done some phenomenal stuff. They always do these very like dark black shadows and things, like the stylized, like the way they do the characters. They did. Studio Madhouse did at least 2 of these shorts from Gotham Knight, and no joke, in one of them, there's a really cool one where Batman fights. He fights Scarecrow. He has to go into the sewers, and they draw him like the Keaton Batman, and it's still like all of them are. I believe it's still what's his name from the animated Kevin Conroy. It's still Kevin Conroy like voicing him and everything.
Yeah, because you can't have anyone else.
I got to show you that clip, because there's this cool clip where he's fighting Scarecrow, and it really, if you look at the way they draw his face and everything like that, I'm like, they're drawing the Michael Keaton Batman, and I love it. I love the way, like, his mouth and stuff, like they do it, hey, his kind of lips, like he kind of puck, you know what I mean, like the face he makes. Yeah. They draw him just like that, and it looks so badass.
Oh, now I got to see this.
It's so good.
I totally have to see this.
There's all of them, all the episodes of that's in my opinion, it's an underrated Batman movie, because, like I said, it's an anthology. It's just like a bunch of little short, like very loosely interconnected films. But there's one, and some of them are kind of like, one of them is, they basically did the same thing in an episode of the Batman, where it's or an episode of Batman the Animated Series, where it's like these kids exchanging stories where each of them encountered Batman, like fighting a villain and stuff, and you see it through their imagination, so it's like how they perceived Batman. That's a cool one in this one, because one of them sees Batman as like this like living shadow, because he's like vanishing around so much that he's like almost like this black kind of shadow blob that's like, he's fighting Firefly, and when Firefly like turns to fight him, he just kind of melts into the ground and comes up behind him and shit. And because that's the way the kid
heard of this.
It's old, like I said, it's like from 2009 or something like that.
But I'll look it up. I've just never heard of it.
It like, was free.
I think it's on the radar.
Yeah, at one point on DC's DC Warner Brothers official YouTube channel, at one point they had the whole thing free, like you could just watch the shorts or whatever each one. Unfortunately, now I don't think that I think they took it down. It's probably on HBO Max
or DC streaming service, but yeah.
I'll take
DC Universe. They dissolved that into HBO Max now.
Okay.
DC Universe
I've got ways.
Just for comics.
I've got ways. I'll take a look.
I think you probably I like it more than.
I have a feeling I will, because if they did it with the '89 style Batman and it was voiced by Kevin Conroy, fucking,
it's really cool.
Amazing.
He encounters Croc. Like I said, you'll get the feeling. I mean, I think you will, because like the way I took it when I was watching it was that it was meant to be almost, it was meant to complement the Nolanverse movies, because he fights Croc at one point in the sewers, and it's the first time he's ever encountered him. They make it clear that he's never seen him before. There's one where he goes up against there's one where he goes up against Deadshot, and because he hears there's like a thing going around that Deadshot's going to try to assassinate Commissioner Gordon. And so Batman is trying to track him down.
Because Deadshot never misses.
Yeah. And there's an episode. There's one that's really cool where Lucius Fox designs this upgrade for his suit where it's like this magnetic kind of field where basically it will deflect bullets, like it'll make bullets kind of like stray away from it. It'll alter their paths.
Kind of like Fortune in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, and he uses it one night, but when he uses it, it protects him. But there's like a dude, he's fighting these mobsters, and of course he's just using his fists, he's just beating them up and stuff. But then one of them tries to shoot him, and the bullet like streams, and it hits one of the other guys, and it nearly kills him. And so Batman takes him to the hospital, and then he ends up telling Lucius, like, I can't take this risk anymore. Like, I can't risk people's lives. If it's me, I can risk my own life, but I'm not going to risk other people's lives and shit. That's a cool episode.
Yeah, it's a very cool concept.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? That was ripped straight from Metal Gear Solid 2 because Fortune had the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And remember when Raiden shot and the shit went and it hit Vamp right in the forehead?
That was a cool part. I love that.
Outros.
Oh, you're all done?
I do need to get to sleep soon because it's approaching 5 a.m.
Motherfucker, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
All right, we'll reserve the bat chat for next time.
Bat chat, yeah. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
God, I feel like I got the fucking gatekeeper and Keymaster and the other guys are just like.
You're gonna have a ball editing this one.